Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tai Chi For You. We have as a special guest today Maher. She is from State of Grace Yoga in Uxbridge.
Yes,
Yes, you've been in Uxbridge a long time.
I have. I have.
So there's Laurie. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
But it's great having you here. You've been a
Thank
guest once
you.
before,
Yes.
and just before the cameras went on, I mean, we were having a great conversation.
Yes.
And we were talking about the tea. And
The tea.
yes, our
So
good friend
good.
Terry gave me some tea.
Thank you, Terry.
Yes, here's the Terry.
Delicious.
And that is the immune boosting.
The immune.
And I was just saying, that is really, I felt that's what got me through, remember COVID? Okay? Where we couldn't do
Yeah.
much, so I drank a lot of tea, stayed healthy, did my Tai Chi and my meditation, and tried to get outside, do some walking, things like that. You do what you have to do to sort of keep yourself in check, really.
Yes.
Now, I know you do a
love
lot
that.
there at State of Grace.
Yes.
So just name some of the things you do and tell us about the new
Oh, my
program
goodness.
you have.
So I am an acupressure shiatsu therapist. I've been doing that for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to what Ron does, working with energy in the body, the energetic layer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you
So
do.
when people come to you for that,
Yeah.
is it more, are they trying to heal from an injury? Is it like a physical therapy or that whole mind-body connection?
Well, it's both.
Okay.
So usually, and if anything other than an injury, really, right? But usually, when you have pain on a physical level,
Mm-hmm.
it starts underneath. And a lot of people that come to me, it's emotional imbalances. People might be holding in anxiety or anger or depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it actually affects your physical body. So people come to me for physical pain and emotional pain, and we work through different layers of everything. So that, yes, and I do that through acupressure, and I am also a Reiki master.
Okay, I've been hearing a lot about Reiki, that
Yeah.
it helps everything. Just,
It-
again, that you can have again, all right, so let's talk about, you got good emotions.
Yeah.
You're really happy about, boy, I mean, your body feels better. You know, you
does.
just won a scratchy. Oh, boy, I feel great. What back injury, So that idea of emotions
yeah.
is so powerful.
Very powerful.
Mm.
So that kind of leads me into the newest thing I'm doing. So I'm also a yoga teacher, and
Right.
I do retreats. I just came off of a retreat, which was fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
But I just got my trauma recovery coaching certification. So I work with clients who have been through all sorts of different traumas, and it's a big buzzword. What does trauma mean, right?
Right.
But people can come to me for really anything, whether it's kind of a childhood trauma, dysfunctional family, neglect, abuse. But a lot of people don't really know they have trauma.
I mean, I think of maybe like being in a car accident. That would.
That's definitely a traumatic situation.
Yeah.
But I was answering a question that you asked me, and I was kind of came around in a circle. What
Oh,
did you originally ask me?
We were just talking about emotions.
Yes.
How the trauma and maybe it, that does, I don't want to say negative aspect to it, but you could have good emotions.
Yes. So that's where I was
Yeah.
going. So with the trauma coaching is, we talk a lot about what the concept of window of tolerance. Okay. So the window of tolerance is sort of like your happy place, like what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? So where you can feel joyful and you feel like, you're free and you're, peaceful and, just happy, right? You're in a good place.
Yeah.
So that's your window of tolerance. And especially trauma survivors, we have a lot of trouble with our nervous systems where we'll get triggered and we'll end up in fight or flight or freeze or fawn. So have you heard of those things?
The fight or flight.
Yes.
And then freeze and.
Fawn.
No, you got me on that one.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so there are all different emotions, right? So we have our good, kind of happy emotions when we're in a good place and we feel calm and at ease and we're, just going along our day and everything's great. If we get triggered or we get upset, right? Um, some of the emotions you might feel, you're going to come away from that happy, joyful emotion and you're going to go to maybe anger or rage or anxiety, right? And you're either going to fight or
Mhm.
you're going to flee, fight or flight,
Mhm.
right? So usually we do one or the other when we're in that state,
Right.
right? So there's a lot of tools that I teach my clients how to get out of that and bring yourself back down to your balanced state, okay? So there's fight or flight up here where we're like,
And so you're not really handling the situation correctly. You're running away from it,
Yeah.
or you're fighting it.
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, so it kind of brings me back to yoga, right?
Okay.
So yoga, there are concepts called attachment and aversion. And what that means is when we think about living our yoga, when we attach to something,
Mhm.
right, or when we run away from something, we're not really dealing with the thing, right? We're kind of keeping our suffering going by either I'm going to attach, I'm angry and I'm really angry and I'm angry because of this, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to run away because I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to just run away and I'm going to forget it even happened. Well, we don't really forget. It just gets stuck in the body somewhere, right?
Mhm. Okay.
So yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can look at that particular piece of it.
Hmm.
And then the other thing we do with our nervous system is freeze or fawn. It means a few different things, but basically, you could be, instead of being in an anxious, sort of agitated state,
Right.
you become more depressed. And it's more about like you're in a frozen state. So kind of like, if you're overwhelmed and you just want to crawl into bed and pull the curtains down and you're like checked out.
Yeah.
You're done. You can't deal with life, right? That's when your nervous system is in a hypoarousal state. So we don't really want to be in either of those, right? We want to be in the middle somewhere. And so I help people, that's one of the things I can do through the trauma coaching is help people understand what are your triggers, whether you get agitated or go to hyperarousal
Mhm.
or downregulated to hypoarousal, and then how do we like avoid going there? How do we how do we correct before we go there?
Now, when people come in, are they open-minded with it, or are they?
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Oh, people are like, I have so many people that have come to me that are so like ready to do this work.
All right. Because I'm thinking it's like, oh, I know someone that can use it, and I drag them in there, and they don't feel like they need it.
Well, you have to be ready. So, people who come to me are typically ready to dive in and do the work and really like look at what they've been holding in and what
Mhm.
they haven't been dealing with. Because ultimately, we can only hold things in for so long and then it just starts overflowing. It just starts coming out in anxiety or depression or, all those things.
So anything that's I don't know, like a vicious cycle of depression or anxiety or whatever like that. That's one of the things you address.
Oh, absolutely. And usually it's from some kind of trauma or something that you've dealt with or haven't, been through, I should say, and haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it comes from childhood, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of things in our childhood that sometimes people don't even remember until we're well into, a topic or
Yeah.
into the session.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, yeah, somebody will remind you of something, and then it triggers it back to that
Yeah,
early stage of trauma.
yeah.
Because, I mean, are there different levels of trauma? I mean,
Yes, I was just going to go there.
Oh, okay.
That was a perfect question.
Well, we're both a little psychic, right?
I think we are.
Yeah.
There are definitely levels of trauma. So, we could talk about like, if someone has one traumatic incident in their life, like a bad car accident,
Mhm.
you could say, okay, they've had a trauma, right? If someone has a lot of traumas, we might call that complex trauma, right? Where someone has a lot of things that really need to be healed and worked on. But just to give you an idea of like when you're a child, you don't have the skills to deal with things that might happen in your life, right? So if you have a neglectful parent, or you've had, unfortunately, some kind of abuse happening, you have no other choice but to blame yourself.
Or go on and think it's normal.
And go on and think it's normal, right, until you don't anymore.
And then when you get older, it's like, boy, that was
Right.
messed up.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. So, what we tend to do as abuse survivors, which I am, is, you blame yourself, you feel unworthy, you feel unlovable. All of these things happen around this abuse. And so it really depends on what age it happens, because it actually affects the brain. It affects the physiology
Right, what
of the
isn't
brain.
developed yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if a trauma happens before you turn 7, right, the effect on the brain is different versus if it happens after you turn 7. So literally different areas of the brain are enlarged or are small.
Yeah.
But luckily you can actually change that physiology based on how you process the trauma.
And you use some of the, I would say TCM, traditional Chinese medicine,
Yes.
the acupressure
Yes.
that you use.
Yep.
And it's very interesting when people try to explain it, so I'm glad I have someone that we can go a little bit deeper with this. But I've gotten acupuncture before, and they put the needle in your ear, and it's like my shoulder released.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did that happen? And the best way to explain it, she was like, when you think about the very beginning, you were one cell, then 2, then 8, then 4 billion or whatever. So at some point, that ear was connected to that shoulder, and they hit the right point.
In a way.
So you have to learn, right, or work
Well-
off a chart or something as to what to hit to release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you've had acupressure too.
Yeah.
So, in Chinese medicine, it's very different from Western medicine. I don't know, gotta look at the camera. So when I first went to school for this 20 plus years ago,
Yeah.
it was like a whole different world. Like I was just lost. It made no sense. I didn't know what was happening. And then as I've worked with this energy and with the medicine over the last 20 years, it makes perfect sense, right? So in Chinese medicine, there's meridians in the body that carry the energy. So just like you work with energy and your movement when you're doing your Tai Chi, this energy is flowing through the body, and there's actually hundreds of meridians, but there are 12 main ones that typically we work on. And they're all related to organs in the body, and there are points all along the meridians. I wish I brought my little chart and my doll with me next time.
Oh, don't you have a little guy too?
I have a little guy.
Yeah,
I was going to
I've
bring my
seen him.
guy. So each of the points actually, and I had to learn all the points, which there are like thousands, but each of the points has like a purpose, right? So for example, when you go out on a cruise, and sometimes you wear the nausea bracelet.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's because there's a point here, pericardium 6, in Chinese medicine, that is for nausea. So they have a little magnet or whatever that's on the bracelet that is constantly, kind of sending a message to your acupressure point, right? So there are all sorts of different reasons why you would use points. So if someone comes to me for, lung issues, right? I'm going to look at the client's lung channel. I'm going to look at the large intestine because it pairs with the lung. There's all sorts of things you look at in the body, and I'll do an assessment on the body, and the body will give me a lot of information that clients even don't even really know.
Right.
But the whole reason, the whole approach is to create a balance in your system. So, if you think about the yin and yang, right? I don't know if everybody knows the yin and yang symbol.
Right. I wear it quite a bit. I almost
Right.
wore my shirt today that
Oh.
has it, but
So the idea is that there's always an opposite, right? So there's the day and night, right? Light and dark, male and female. There's always an opposite that you're working on. So the goal is to create a balance in your system and take, if you have excess heat in your body, you want to cool that heat down to your natural balance, your homeostasis, right? So when I'm working on someone, I'm always looking at, okay, well, there's too much of this thing, so I have to decrease that and get the body back into balance and health.
and then I like saying things go hand in hand because there's, Eastern and Western.
Yeah,
So, they'll do blood tests and they'll tell a lot. And if it's, too much alkaline, so they again, they're trying to find the balance in the body with
right.
what they've learned.
Right, they'll say like, oh, well, the normal CBC is here, from here to here. Like
Yeah.
there's a range. So they're looking at what's in the normal range, right? But in Chinese medicine, they'll say if you have an imbalance in the body, it's called a dis-ease. So it's disease, right? But it's
Right.
actually a dis-ease
Yeah.
of the body. We're out of ease,
Yeah.
right? So
It's funny how they correlate, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so Western medicine is more, like it's symptomology. It's like, how do we treat the symptoms? Eastern medicine is more, how do we treat the cause, the root cause
Gotcha.
of the
Yeah.
issue? Like Western medicine is great for emergency medicine, obviously. And, I mean, we live in the best place in the world for emergency medicine. I think that they're learning a lot as far as like, different options and different alternatives for like root causes like autoimmune disease, different things that they're not really sure how to treat, which Eastern medicine,
Yeah.
has a different approach.
And I've had at least a half a dozen students come in that their doctor recommended they find Tai Chi,
Nice.
either for the a balance issue,
That's great.
or just some things that they're taking the medicine for, but this is an addition to.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times they'll say, just try to go for a 5-minute walk. Try to drink 8 glasses of water. So there's
Yeah.
other things that you can do. It isn't just, all right, this one thing. So that idea of balance.
Well, I just actually taught a retreat up in Maine, and it was all about self-care. And I didn't really, I mean, I'm now realizing the last few years how important it is to do like regular, everyday, tools for your nervous system to calm your nervous system. Every day do some energy work, whether it's Tai Chi or yoga, or, go have an energy treatment. You can't do it every day, but you can learn how to incorporate these into your daily living. And it has to be almost something like brushing your teeth. That it's, because you are
Right.
so powerful, you can maintain your health. You just need the guidance and the tools to stay healthy.
Right. I mean, I made it a point, and I've kind of laxed off a little bit, but if whatever time I have to get up, I would get up 15 minutes earlier. And it wouldn't be a big workout, but it would be time for me, knowing that I can take my time and do some breathing or do some light stretching and not be rushing, watching the clock. What's next? I gotta, get in the shower. I gotta get this. I gotta get gas before I go. All these other things that run through your head. So if you sort of, it's just like some of the ideas, they call them the dojos. That when you go in, you see them, they bow before they go in. And not necessarily, it isn't like, oh, this guy is a great master, I got to bow to him. What it is, it's representing you're bowing at the doorway, saying, get rid of all the junk, the day's issues, and then step in with an open mind to learn.
I love that.
Isn't that a good
Yes.
analogy to it?
That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I take that little bit of time in the morning knowing I I set it aside so I'm not rushing.
Yeah.
And it is just to stand and just do some nice, easy stretching. Nothing, no weights, no bands, no, you know, music going to get the heart going. And maybe
Yeah.
later on in the day, do a 20-minute workout or something longer.
Right. Well, I think people don't understand like how stressed we really are, right? Like think about how much we're doing every day and how it's all about the calendar, right? What am I doing now? And then it's
Yeah.
this and then it's this and by the time you look at your whole day, you're stressed out and tired, right? Like
Oh,
I got to do all this today.
yeah.
And you know, really honoring that and saying, okay, wait a minute, how am I going to create the life that I want to live? Create the life that is going to allow me to feel good, be healthy, right? And be joyful,
Right.
and not sort of be a slave to this schedule that we keep.
Well, the one of the simple ones we do, we call it hug the tree, and that's where we just relax, and there's no movement involved.
Right.
And it's just to sort of calm the mind, calm the body. And I can see people like stressing out about, all right, what's next? When's he going to do? What are we, And it's just breathe in and breathe out. And then you'll see that aha moment
Yeah.
when they realize, like, this is doing a lot without doing anything. Just a
love
nice,
that.
simple,
Beautiful.
yeah,
So this weekend at the retreat,
right.
we literally were hugging trees. We did.
Okay.
I hired
Yeah.
someone to come and do a forest, what they call a forest bathing,
All right.
which is just basically a walk in the woods.
Well, on a side note, I talk to trees once in a while.
Oh,
When I'm driving, like,
I do
because I drive by them
too.
every day. It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
that's great.
yeah, they've seen me for 20 years going by.
I love that.
Yeah. So, go
So
ahead.
literally, like everyone in my retreat, we were all hugging the trees and taking the time to stop and listen and really listen, use your senses, listening, smelling, seeing, and slowing way down, right? And as soon as you do that, your body responds. Your body's like, oh, wait, this is what it feels like to feel good. I'm not rushing. I don't have to
And
rush.
doesn't it open things up? You're more aware.
Yes. And
Yeah.
one other example, real quick, is so one of the breakfasts we had all of our food made. It was delicious. They were like farm to table. If you
Yep.
can go to Limina up in Searsport, Maine, go. It's incredible. Anyways, so one of the mornings I decided I was going to have a silent breakfast. And everybody, not everybody, but a lot of the attendees were like, a silent breakfast? What do you mean? I can't do a silent breakfast. They weren't
No.
comfortable with that. They didn't want to do it.
Right.
And I said, listen, everything's an invitation. I really hope you try it and just see how it feels to sit in silence. And silence also means no eye contact. So just really sitting with your food, paying attention to what you're doing, eating your breakfast. So I had most of the people join.
Yeah.
And then one person in particular really didn't want to do it. At the end, came up to me and just said, "This was the most incredible experience I've ever had." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "It was the first time that I'm not talking while I'm eating, and I'm not engaging and looking at people, and I could literally feel the food, like the warmth of the food coming down, into my stomach, and I was able to really." Notice what was in front of me because, of course, we were looking at water, so it was beautiful. But she was able to notice and be aware of so much more than when we're all talking, right? And you're all
Yeah.
moving. And so it was just, we had a lot of those moments all weekend as far as
Yeah.
slowing
And
down.
it's like, preaching to the choir. It's, people in our circles or whatever, I'm getting a high just from hearing about it.
Yeah.
But and I try to introduce that in little increments.
Yeah.
Just that hug the tree pose.
Yeah.
Let's just do it for 10 seconds. I'll let you know when the 10 seconds are up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just that being aware of nature.
Yes.
It is. It's difficult for a lot of people. And I always say it's like I was where you are now. It was like, I remember my first day at Tai Chi. It was like, Okay, show me something. Okay, show me what's next. What's next? Nope. And you repeat it, and you take that in deeper, and the breathe. So it was slowing things down so you can understand and be more aware. So I think when the students know that we were beginners one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I love to get back into the beginner's mind. And I teach yoga, but I teach a very gentle, slow class so that people can get into their bodies. It's for beginners, it's for everybody,
Yeah.
really, because I take it slow and walk everybody through each individual pose. But it allows you to become so in your body and self-aware that you can feel the sensations in the moment, because that's the only time we can actually feel a sensation is within this current present moment, right? Not in the future, not in the past. We feel whatever is happening in our body has to happen now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Or you have to notice it now.
Yeah.
So it's all about noticing that, and same as with Tai Chi, bringing the movement in the body and moving in the way that the energy moves, and just introducing people to that, concept of it's okay, to connect here. We don't need to be paying attention to what's going on out here. It's connecting here in the heart. It's connecting to your intuition, right? It's connecting to your gut. It's
Yeah.
connecting to that knowing inside, that wisdom inside. And it's not about what's outside.
Now, see, and my, not I don't say style of teaching, but I try to, first just learn the move, just that simple up, in, down, and whether they're out like Frankenstein, and I let them go through it for a while, and then it's like, okay, I give them some slight correction, but that first phase is just learning what the move is, and so the body, the muscle memory type thing. Then I say, if you can do that, and now you're not thinking about it and you're doing it, now go deeper and visualize what's happening internally.
Nice.
The tendons in the elbow and what's happening, how the lungs are filling up, the core's engaged, okay. And then once you can get those two things together,
Yeah.
the third phase, that's that one that you really try to attain. Like that's what the monks, when they meditate, and they're boom, their mind is connected somewhere else. And it's great when you get it. It's fleeting. It comes and goes. Because just when you're there, it's like you almost pull back because it's like, what's behind the curtain? And you look, you're all excited, and you're like, oh, I can't. I got to go back and shit. You get nervous.
I got to go back in my body.
But we've done, when you're outside doing it,
Enhances.
enhances it even more.
It does.
And someone's just like, I don't know where you were, but you weren't here doing it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so you do start to go deeper.
Well, I think just with Tai Chi and with yoga, we're really teaching people to be in their body, right? Match the breath with the movement, really allow people to really enjoy moving their body, whatever that looks like and feels like for them. And then it's really in preparation for meditation. So I think you're talking about that meditative state that you kind of can get to
Right.
in Tai Chi, in yoga, from breath work, all different things. But, and that is that oneness that we're connecting to. And in nature, it's all around, right? It's the prana, it's the chi, it's the energy. When you talk about the ball that you're creating in your Tai Chi,
Right.
that's energy, that's chi, that's prana.
Yeah.
That runs in our body. We're all connected.
Yeah.
I know you guys are probably thinking I'm crazy.
No, this is when we have the new people. We lock the door because this is where they run away when we start talking energy. But energy it's in everything,
It's in everything.
and you can get scientific about it. A lot of times I bring that book. It's the Harvard Medical School Guide to Tai Chi. And it's written by a professor from Harvard that teaches there, but he's also a Tai Chi instructor. So I can just imagine the
Yeah.
talk in the teacher's lounge, and he's saying, "Oh, it helps cure, it does this," and they're like, "You can't be
probably-
saying-"
right.
And they all beat up on him and did all these studies and tests.
Well,
You know, it's
I
like the
talk about
placebo
that-
effect.
yes,
You know?
you know, but also you have to think about like the doctors who are trained in a certain way. Any doctor, right? They learn what they learn over their period of time in school,
Yeah.
and it's completely opposite from Eastern medicine. So it's going to sound crazy to them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's how it was for me until I started working. Well, first of all, I was able to be healed from, I got Epstein-Barr when I was 30, mono, and then turned into kind of like a chronic fatigue thing, and
So
nobody
was
could
it a
really help me.
combination of Eastern, Western? I mean, you tried the traditional doctors and all
The
that.
traditional doctors could not help
It's
me.
just, yeah. They
So
diagnosed it.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then I ended up finding a woman who at the time was an acupressure, shiatsu therapist, and a yoga teacher, and she told me that she could help me, and so I went to her like every other week for body work. I started doing yoga twice a week,
Hmm.
and I was about 80% better in 9 months. And
Yeah.
so then I said, I have to know what this is, so I went to school
Yeah.
for it.
Right, and we were talking earlier at the beginning. It's you got to give this a little bit of time.
Yes.
That commitment. So when people come for this, for the trauma recovery,
Hmm.
is it a
It takes at least 6 months.
It
Like
takes-
so the trauma recovery course I took
yeah?
last year was like 10 months, and I moved through a lot of stuff myself. Like it was really, really healing for me. And I was able to I finally, everything finally made sense for me because I learned all about the education. So I'm considered a mental health professional in trauma specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we go through a lot of education. It's very client led. So whatever the client is, or whatever, if you're interested, whatever you're ready for is where we're going to spend our time. It's very, I'm very compassionate and empathetic with clients that come in.
So you did it first for yourself, and then it sort of morphed into I can teach this.
Yeah, and it was like the last piece of everything that I do, because I have the energy piece, the body work, the yoga, the Reiki. And so I created this program with everything I learned. And I already have, I think, 7 people that are working with me, and it's a 6-month program. Now, it's different for everybody, so it's very individualized. So whatever you may need, the next person may not need. And maybe it'll be longer than 6 months. I mean, we'll see. But there's a lot of content, a lot of stuff to get through. So it's not like a one and done. You can't, it's a commitment because you are committed to healing. And you have to, put the time in
Yeah.
to do it.
Well, I guess along the idea of these, I don't want to say fad diets, but that's kind of an old term, but it's
Yeah.
popular, right? People, lose 10, 40, 50 pounds or
Yeah.
whatever. But they did it, but now it's like the maintenance. So there's maintenance with the trauma.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about lots of different tools, but tapping is one of the tools that I like to do, which is tapping. I don't know if you've ever heard of the EFT,
Yes. Yeah.
Emotional Freedom Technique. But there's a lot of different tools that I teach my clients for self-care and for how to regulate your nervous system and make your nervous system more resilient. And it really depends on, if you have a very, if you had a really tough childhood, it's been years. So you have to expect that it's going to take time to reverse that.
Right, right.
It takes time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's like
It's
watching
like
your
a
money
life-
grow. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a lifetime. I mean, we're always growing. We're always learning.
Well, one of the tapping, and we do it. It's called 500 claps, and again, what they consider a clap is more that tapping, and again, we talk
Yeah.
energy points, and we're putting the chi in, and the way it goes, the way the meridians go up the outside, down the inside.
Yep.
And we're doing it, and I compare East and Western, and we could say, just get the blood flowing, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
But you want to go deeper, and you're thinking you're putting energy in.
Yeah,
and
nice.
you're, loosening up some block things.
Yeah.
But with the other EFT one, that's when you sort of focus in on, I want to quit smoking or something, and it's saying mantra or different things. And,
It's definitely, that's a great point.
Yeah.
So you want to say whatever it is that you're having a hard time with. Let's say you're feeling really angry, right? And so you might say to yourself, okay, even though I'm really angry right now and I was really not very nice to my partner, I love myself fully and conditionally. So you always come back to I love myself fully and accept myself fully as you're doing the tapping, right? And what you're doing is you are, so you do all different points, right?
all right.
But as you're doing, these points all release stagnation. They're all acupressure Chinese medicine points that I was just talking about, right? So you do this tapping. And as you're doing it, you're saying the mantra. And it's releasing the energy and the emotion. So there have been many studies that emotions last 90 seconds.
Okay.
If you let it go. If you sit in an emotion and you just let the emotion be, right? And you just sit there and you're like, all right, I'm angry, okay? And you do some breath work. We could talk about breath work too. It will move and it will go. But if you attach to it, remember we talked about attachment or aversion. If you attach to it and you're like, I'm really angry that he did that. I can't believe it, whatever. But you do, it'll last and last because you're keeping it going.
And one of the ways to release it is tap. You think?
One of the ways to release it is tapping.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, like I say, you try. Be an optimistic skeptic. Try it.
Try it.
It doesn't hurt. The breath work. Now, breath work.
Come and see me. We'll practice.
Yeah, Laurie's very good at that, all that. So, and again, you have a gentle approach to thing. It isn't a Marine boot camp approach to.
It's very gentle.
Right. You don't want people to tense up and add more to while they're here.
Right. And so when people come in, what I think a lot of people don't realize is it takes the body like a half an hour to relax. So if someone comes in, they get on my table, I know it's going to take a half an hour before I can even start doing any work.
Yeah.
So, I'll walk the client through some breath work and relaxation techniques and visualization and that kind of thing. And then the body's kind of more open and you can start to, whether you're doing like a little physical massage to release muscles and fascia, right? You can start there, as you know about that, massage therapist. And, then you can start to access the acupressure points or start to bring in some Reiki or different types of energy work.
Now, what about the, trying to think, what's the term for it? It's when you can do long distance healing. Is that something that you've tried, felt? I
have felt that. I have received many long distance healings.
Okay, tell us about that.
So there's recently I've been training with a woman up in Maine. Her name is Cheryl Banfield, and she owns Love Light Illuminations.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl. She's amazing. And she teaches this light system. So it's actually stronger than Reiki. It's more powerful than Reiki. And she has done them from a distance. It feels as if I'm in the room with her. So I get this very peaceful, calming sensation come over my body. And she will know exactly what's going on with me. So I actually just started doing that a little bit with some clients, and they're reporting that they're having great results. So that's new to me. But usually I have people in the room, but I think I'm going to move more towards that.
Now, trauma is one thing, but you can help people. I'm thinking, like an eating disorder, or what are some of the things that people can come to you?
So that's a great question.
Because they're the first thing is really kind of admit that you got a problem
Yeah.
in order to kind of heal.
Well, if you're having anxiety that you can't really control, or depression, or you're continually, having repetitive thoughts, you have addictions, right? Addictions are huge in trauma survivors. Like 98% of trauma survivors have addictions, whether it's gambling or food or alcohol. It doesn't matter what it is, what the thing is. Um, there are many after effects of trauma. So any of those things, if you think that maybe when growing up, if you keep having sort of recurring thoughts about negative things that happen in your life, that's a big sign there too. So if you want to live a more joyful life, then take action, and there are lots of things you can do to help yourself. And I just guide people, I'm helping you help yourself. You just need the tools.
Yeah, it's again, find out. That's another thing I like about the Tai Chi. It's an individual, if you want to call it a sport,
Mm-hmm.
where if you're on the the football team or something, it's like, you drop that ball, you can't hit, and you, again, for certain types of people, they can't handle that rejection. So the Tai Chi, it's really one on one. You're not trying to even compete with the other person if he can, do a full circle or he can reach his hand behind. It's you listening to your body. So when you're doing it for the exercise part, you're getting as much benefit out of this move as the person that's all the way, because he has to go that far in order to feel that stretch. But for you, it might be just here or just lifting that arm up and down. Everybody has a starting point, and you start where you're comfortable. And that saying, no pain, no gain, that's not part of Tai Chi, and it's not really part of yoga either, right?
I absolutely love what you just said.
Yeah.
So no, I tell everybody in my class, there is no pain in yoga. If you feel pain, you stop doing it, period. And every body is different, right? Just
Yeah.
like what you were just saying. And I'll say that to people. Someone next to you might be able to do something because her literal bone structure is different than yours, and it is impossible for you to do something, right?
Right.
And same thing that you said, yoga is not about the class or the group. It is about you. It is about you on your mat. And whatever anybody else is doing doesn't matter, right? It's about you.
Oh, so you're really even claiming that area,
Yes.
the mat. Okay, it isn't just for knee
No,
cushion.
no.
That's
That is your, yeah. And we talk a lot about living yoga off your mat as well, meaning you live your yoga out in the world, right? But, this is about people coming into my class and getting quiet within and really befriending their body again and taking care of it.
Now I noticed when you talked about you did was it like a evening yoga or a candlelight yoga or something, right? Again, it's just making the surroundings so you're calmer and you're more open.
Well, yes. So we thinking about restorative yoga, which is a different kind of yoga, but it does it. Yes, if this, I mean, it's so nice when you can have a beautiful surrounding and light candles and make it very peaceful for people. So when they come in, they automatically are like, oh, right, and they start to relax before we even start. That's huge.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do that. And I teach a different kind of class, restorative, which actually I think starts, what's today?
Let's see.
Thursday? It starts next Thursday.
Okay.
And I'm just doing it once a month, but that is really very beneficial for the nervous system because, and it's, I literally set you up in poses and you're supported by bolsters and blocks and blankets. And I put you in a pose and you stay there. And it's and it's just like you find this super, super comfortable place, and a lot of the areas of your body are supported with blankets,
Yeah.
so that your joints are supported, and
Mhm.
and your nervous system can go into the parasympathetic state, which is rest and digest.
Yeah.
So you can't heal unless you are in rest and digest. You
Gotcha.
can't be in fight or flight.
Right.
You have to be in rest and digest.
Yeah.
So it's a very healing
Yeah.
practice.
Have you ever? You must have done this flotation tank.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's something.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love the
You
flotation
you
tank.
don't really know what's happening. It's you
Yeah.
feel like no, because I've always leaned on this foot because of this hook.
Yeah.
And then the water, it's 100% buoyancy.
Yep.
So there is no adjustment to everything. You're
Right.
where you're supposed to be.
Right.
And that's the oddest feeling
I
there is.
know.
Never mind, it's dark, and
Yeah.
you don't know if you're in 10 feet of water or
Right.
8 inches of water.
But it's supporting your whole body,
Isn't that,
which
yeah.
is just like restorative yoga.
Okay, that's
So-
it. When you started saying it, my mind went right into
That's a great
how I
point.
felt.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great point, because that's how you feel. You feel like you're floating, like you're on a cloud. And so you stay there for, usually you'll stay in the pose for 15 minutes,
Right.
and you're just, you get to this meditative state, and your body is just, it's like so happy. It's just, I love it.
I mean, it helps with with sleeping. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another whole way to, people that I know,
Yeah.
they work out like a madman, and they run and they eat right and they do, but they're not getting the sleep.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute.
Yeah.
So, when we were young,
Yeah.
I'm not in my 20s or 30s or 40s really anymore, right? But I used to work out all the time. Like, and when you think about it, it's a lot of stress that you put on your body
Mhm.
when you're, doing running, or, what's that gym, the crazy gym people go to?
Oh, the P90X stuff
Whatever,
or
that
whatever.
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's actually putting stress on your body, and you're putting yourself in sympathetic or fight or flight. You're
Mhm.
actually doing that. So, now I find the best exercise is like a Tai Chi or yoga, where we're moving slower, but we're still building muscle.
Mhm.
We're still building stamina. We're building balance, right? But
Mhm.
we're also opening and stretching the muscles and opening the channels. And it's just the best exercise.
Yeah. All right, what's your thought on pickleball? Change the subject.
I've never played pickleball.
Oh.
What's your thought on pickleball?
Oh, I mean, I did it a lot a couple years ago. I've done less and less
Yeah,
with it, but it's addicting.
it is.
It is.
I hear that. I want to try it. I just haven't tried it
and,
yet.
And I figured it out. The addicting part
Yeah.
is that sound that it makes. That pop,
Yeah.
pop. So you just have to hit, like, I want that sound. I want that sound.
Yeah, nice.
But you can play it recreational, which I'm at that level. I'm recreational
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
You can't compete with these 20-year-olds that are
No.
running the length of the court in 2 seconds. But
Mm-hmm.
but it's a nice when you're at the right level, and you're with friends or just like-minded people. It's a fun sport,
Mm-hmm.
and it's growing in popularity. They got some new courts.
Where?
It's is that Linwood?
Oh,
Maybe?
really?
Or,
In Northbridge?
It's right across from Sundin Furniture. There's a park there, and
Oh.
it's brand new court. They did the basketball court with the pickleball court with the lights.
Mm-hmm.
So I see
Nice.
people out there once in a while, and there's
Nice.
courts in Upton. I'm trying to think where else is some. Grafton has them.
Yeah.
So-
Uxbridge turned them down. Uxbridge voted it
Oh,
down.
I remember that town meeting. Yes.
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
supposed to be down the street from where I live at the,
Yeah.
over by Taft and, the schools, but
Yeah.
at the skate park, but they decided against it.
Yeah. Well, and it's a money issue too, probably.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
They just keep it up like that. But I think all these, the Tai Chi and the yoga, it helps you with other sports
Yeah.
because there's that coordination factor where you could, drill and drill and drill with pickleball or tennis or whatever like that. But
Yeah.
if you could go in there with a mindset and almost, like, I'll use Tom Brady as an example. I mean, he's got the ball in his mind. That guy already caught the ball before he even throws
That's
it.
right, he did.
He has that mindset.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Tom Brady.
You put it out there. I mean, of course, the guy practiced and practiced and
Yeah,
practiced.
but still, magic.
Yeah.
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 But yes, not only, to your point, it's the coordination factor, but it's also the breath work, right? Because you're practicing your breath and making your lungs stronger.
Mm.
There's a lot of benefits to Tai Chi and good.
Yeah, it is fun it slows things down
Yeah.
so you can get a better feel of what's around you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure there's drugs you can take that give you that same feeling.
There are, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the ADHD and all that stuff where it does something with the mind that calms them, but that's the instant fix. But it's not.
Yeah.
If they could combine it with some of the people I've worked with, and it's nice because you do it, you adjust the Tai Chi if it's a one-on-one or a certain group or whatever as to what they're looking for. Looking for more balance. They're looking to, get that coordination. Something something happened, an injury, things like that. I've worked with people with injuries that, along with physical therapy, along with nutrition, along with everything else, the Tai Chi is beneficial. And, so you're not claiming that's what did it. Just like they don't want to say just that one thing did it. It's nice to add it to your repertoire or whatever. Your daily bit.
And it's becoming aware of what, like, taking agency, right? Knowing that you have the power to understand and to make decisions about your care. So I recently had an injury to my neck, right?
Right.
And I was very determined. I did not want to have surgery. And I ended up going to acupuncture, physical therapy, and massage. And I did, a lot of yoga and a lot of, energy work. And because I knew each thing had a benefit.
Right. So why don't you tell everybody just,
sorry.
how you can help them? Give them, phone number. How do they get a hold of you?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So
I have to remember my own phone number.
So if you're interested in any kind of healing, you want to try yoga for, really coming within and connecting to yourself. You want to try body work, and if you think you may have some after effects of trauma, I'm here to help. So you can find me at stateofgracewellness.com. That's my website. You can email me at lori.stateofgrace@gmail.com. Should I get my phone number?
Go ahead.
My phone number is 508-298-5486, and feel free to call or text.
Right.
And
you're
come
right
on
in Uxbridge, right?
I'm right in Uxbridge. I am across from Cumbies, close to Hannaford's, right there on North Main.
So, because there's people that watch us, in the Blackstone Valley.
Yep.
And there's, sorry folks, well, maybe you can do long distance healing.
I could do that too.
Everybody in Florida,
everybody
around the world.
I can do the trauma. I can do all of it actually remote.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, folks, until next time, we'll see you later. This is Tai Chi for you.